Oh, hi all. This is Mr. Christman here. I know 1 week out of school and all my hair falls out, whatever. I hope you guys are all doing well. You have no idea how much I miss you all in school. I hope you guys are being safe out there. I thought for this week it'd be a good idea if I made some videos of stuff that we would have gone over if we were in class together. These assignments are optional and purely just for the enjoyment of learning math and continuing what we were talking about recently. I thought we could continue our notes from last time we saw each other. If you do not have your notes, that's okay. I do have a blank copy on the 7W homework page. You can open that up. I will be referencing it throughout this video. All right. I do want to have a quick review, though, of the words that we have talked about in last class. We have our parallel lines here. Line K and line I are both parallel lines. And then we have our transversal here, which is line L. And again, if you guys remember, a transversal is a line that just cuts through two other lines. So L is our transversal to parallel lines K and L. And inside, you can see that there are 8 different angles going on here. Our first type of angles that we talked about were our exterior angles. Remember, exterior means outside of the parallel lines. So angles 1, 2, 7, and 8 are all exterior angles. 1, 2, 7, and 8. And then our interior angles, those are inside the parallel lines. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. All of our interior angles. And then we have alternate angles. These are going to be angles that are on opposite sides of our transversals. So for example, 1 and 3 would be alternate angles. We could also do 2 and 5. They would also be alternate angles. And then we have consecutive angles. Those guys are on the same side of our transversal. So for example, 4 and 5 would be on the consecutive side. And then 3 and 6 would also be on our consecutive side. And then we just bunch a whole bunch of those guys together. So just talking about alternate exterior angles, those guys are going to be on opposite sides of our transversals, but on the outside of our parallel lines. So 1 and 7 are an example of alternate exterior. From there, we have alternate interior. Those would be opposite sides of the transversals, but inside our parallel lines. So 4 and 6 are an example of that. Then we have our consecutive exterior. So that would be on the same side of the transversal, but outside of our parallel lines. So 1 and 8 are an example. Consecutive interior. Those would be on the same side of the transversal, but inside our parallel lines. So we have 3 and 6. Then we get into vertical angles. We already know what those are. Those are 2 angles that share a common point that are non-adjacent. So for example, 1 and 3, 6 and 8, those are vertical angles. And then we have corresponding angles. So that's like for this top part, you see like that little plus sign going on there and a little plus sign down here. 1 and 5, because they're both in the top left corner, are corresponding. Another example would be 3 and 7, because they're both on the bottom right. In our notes on page 3 at the very top, there's this problem right here. It states that line M is parallel to line N. You are to state what the different relationships are between the two angles. So you're using all those words up there in the directions, or none at all. I can post the answer to these at a later time if you would like to pause the video right now and work on these on your own. If you would like an extra challenge, right below that is a much harder one. This one has 2 sets of parallel lines, all these transversals. This one's a really good problem. Really looking through, really trying to figure out, all right, which ones are corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and so on. We have instructions on discovering what the relationship is between these different angles. So I have the website posted on the notes, www.geogebra.org/geometry. We have been on this when we were talking about what vertical angles are. I would also like to use this to figure out what the relationship is between parallel lines and their transversals. So I'm just following the directions on the notes listed there. Yeah. All right, let's do this. So first you need to construct your own line. So I have line AB here. It's a beautiful line and I love it. Then we need to move down and we want to make a parallel line. You can see this under the construct tools. You click parallel. You have to hit a point and then click on the line. You'll see that your parallel line is now made. I recommend then making just another point there. So now we have our points A, B, C, and D. There are 2 parallel lines. After that, we do have to go ahead and make our transversal. So grabbing the line tool, just grabbing 2 points anywhere on our parallel lines like I have here. Now I recommend making more vertex points. So I have G and H added them as well. So then when we find out what our measure of our angles are, we can use those vertex points. And then just like before, going down to our measure, going to angle, you do have to click on 3 points, 1, 2, 3, to find out what the measure of that angle is. If you can't see your number there, that's okay. Remember, you can also go up to the move tool and bring that bad boy out like so. So I know that the measure of angle AEG is 142.3 degrees. Someone just text me. Go away. I read it. All right. And then you can do that with all your other angles. So that you should be finding the measurement of a total of 8 angles. So I will do one more again, just so then you feel comfortable with it. So if I have C, F, and E, you can see that that measure of that angle is 142.3 degrees as well. So do that for all 8 of them. You can pause this video, or you could also just wait because, whoa, I already did it. So I found all 8 angles, their measurements. How we know that these things are true then too, you can also move your transversal, there we go, back and forth. You can see that the measures change. I can move my parallel lines as well. So looking at all these angles, we want to see what their relationships are. If I start off with alternate exterior angles, so that's going to be like on the outside of my parallel lines, but on opposite sides of the transversals. You can see that angles A, E, and G and angle HFD are alternate exterior angles, and they have the same exact measurement. If we look at our other pair, angle GEB and angle CFH, they also have the same angle measurement. So we know that alternate exterior angles are congruent with one another. These 2 guys are congruent. That's pretty cool. That means that they are equal to one another. If we look at our alternate interior angles, so that's going to be opposite sides of the transversal and inside our parallel lines. So for example, angle BEF and angle CFE, they are also congruent to one another. You can see that these 2 are both 132.9, and then these 2 are also 47.1. If we look at our consecutive exterior angles, so that's on the same side of the transversal, but outside of our parallel lines, for example, AEG and angle CFH, it doesn't look like there's much to them. This one's 132.9. This one is 47.1. However, I know that this angle, since it, oh, go away. Since this one is congruent with this angle, and these guys both lie on a straight angle, that these 2 angles are supplementary to one another, which means that this angle and this angle are also supplementary to one another. So my consecutive exterior angles are supplementary. That's also true for these guys. They're the same numbers. Add them together. And that's also true here. You can add those up. If we look at the consecutive interior angles, so for example, AEF and CFE, again, these guys are also going to be supplementary. And then finally, looking at my corresponding angles, that's going to be like angle BEG, BEF, and DFH. These guys are the same number. Our corresponding angles are congruent. They are equal to one another. So if you're following along in the notes at the bottom there, there's a mini little table. They have what the different angle relationships are. Underneath those, you should either be putting congruent or supplementary. So just walking through the table again, we know that the alternate exterior angles, they are congruent. The alternate interior angles are also congruent. My consecutive exterior angles are supplementary. My consecutive interior angles are also supplementary. And then my corresponding angles are congruent. Now, do you guys notice any patterns going on with these guys? If you notice, the alternate angles, they're going to be congruent with one another. And then our consecutive angles, the ones that are on the same side of the transversal, they're most likely going to be supplementary to one another. And then corresponding to me are the coolest ones. They're pretty much the same angle on the top and bottom. They are equal to each other. I want to warn you guys, that is the one that's forgotten most often. All right, but they are equal to one another. Sorry. So knowing those properties of these relationships, if I give you what one angle measurement is, you can find out what the other 7 are, just by knowing that they are congruent with one another and they are supplementary. If you go on the 7W homework page, I also have a file on there called Transversal Problems. That first page, you are just practicing what the different properties are. I would like us to work out at least one problem, though, on the second page together. All right? Got a chalkboard in my house. Don't worry. Can you guys see? Yeah, you're fine. All right, cool. All right, so on the second page, the first problem up top, we have a set of parallel lines with a transversal cutting through. I know that this angle is 60 and this angle is 8x minus 40. Now looking at these, they are on opposite sides of my transversals, but then inside the parallel lines. So I know that they are alternating interior angles. Now with previously in the video, we know that our alternating interior angles are also congruent. So that means that this angle should be equal to that angle right there. So I will have 8x minus 40 is equal to 60. And then from here, I just have a two-step equation. I can go ahead and add 40 to both sides. 8x is equal to 100. And then to get x by itself, I can go ahead and just divide both sides by 8, leaving me with x being equal to 12.5. It's really dry. All right, if you turn to the last page, these problems, I want to look at the second one. So not the first one, but the second one. Have it up here. I know that this one angle is 20x plus 5. The second is 24x minus 1. Again, they are on the inside of my parallel lines, but now they're on the same side of my transversal. So I do have consecutive interior angles. Again, previously in the video, we stated that consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Supplementary is when you add these two together, they should equal to 180 degrees. So if I take 20x plus 5, add that to 24x minus 1, that should equal 180. Now, on the left side of my equation, I can go ahead and just combine my like terms. I have 20x plus 24x, which would leave me as 44x. And then I have 5 minus 1, or plus 4. Got myself a two-step equation here. I can go ahead and subtract the constant. These two cancel out. 44x is equal to 176. Divide both sides by my coefficient. X is equal to 4. Yes, Mrs. Thumma, I'm doing okay. You don't have to call me every single day. Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot. I'm making a video for the students. All right, bye. All right, so I am confident that you guys can finish the rest of the problems on that worksheet. I will post answers on Wednesday on the 7W homework page, as well as something else to work on. if you have any questions, please send me a message. Be safe out there. Can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.